Well everybody, that is the finished product there. All 4 new axles, have 8 new boots. Everything's been cleaned up and taken care of. I'm really proud of myself. I've never actually done CV boots before, but everything turned out great. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. I'm getting ready to actually replace all of the CV boots on all the axles. I'm actually doing it inside down here in my basement because it's like 95 degrees outside today and I didn't feel like sweating. It's actually finished the first axle. This is the driver's side front. I got everything taken apart and I got the new boots on, new bands, and yeah, it looks pretty good. I'm actually going to get this piece here painted so it'll be protected here in a little bit. But this is the front passenger side. And I'm going to start tearing this thing down. This boot actually looks like it was replaced at some point in the past. Maybe the inner one too. Hard to say exactly. Seeing that this car is actually 30 years old, it may have actually had the boots replaced once or twice. I'm putting on all new factory boots, inner and outer. Yeah, GTR tax is real on all these boots. I think it was about $400 for just CV boots. Yeah. Anyway, let's start tearing this thing down. That's the part number for the inner. And that's the part number for the outer. Down in the description, I'll put the part numbers for all of them. Make sure you have a whole bunch of rags because this is a really filthy job. Alright, so we're going to start by taking these old clamps off. Hopefully not gouge myself with a screwdriver. Wow, there's not a whole lot of grease in there either. So yeah, it definitely looks like somebody was in this at some point and replaced it and did not put a whole lot of grease because normally these things are filled full. And this one is not. Right? Like this thing should just be spilling grease out everywhere. Alright, so now you gotta actually, here's a little C-clip that is a retainer down in here. You actually have to pop this thing off by basically pushing it off the splines. The little C-clip kind of holds it in place. So I'm actually going to put it here in my vise and tap it with this hammer that has a urethane end and then a rubber end. So I'll give it a few taps here in order to pop it off. So I'll put this thing in the vise and then give it a few taps. Like that, pretty easy. So if you can see in here, this actually has specific to fit this kind of triangle looking shape. So the GTR front inner boots are specific, so you need to get the ones that actually fit this. Comes with grease. One thing that I've noticed is these inner the grease that has come for the inner boots is yellow, and the outer boots is gray. The stuff that was in there already was already gray, but I'm just gonna get this squeezed down in here. So I got this stuck to the side, and I'm gonna actually squeeze the rest of this down into here. Just kind of tuck this thing way down in there, so you can try and get all the grease in. Like that. Just kind of work it around and get that grease moving around down in there, because this naturally the axle will move in and out like this as you are turning the wheel. So you want to make sure that there's enough grease kind of basically to fill every orifice down in there. All right, let's get the bands on. Bands and make them dance. Make sure you get it lined up here, and then fold this over. Grab your screwdriver and tuck these little metal retaining clips in. Yep, right here like this. Get it folded over in there like that. And that one's done. Now I can just do the outside. Just double check that it's in the channel, fold it over. Like that. And then fold over these clips with your screwdriver. And push them down. Cool. That's one side done. Now we can do this end. Same deal with this one, except this one you have to make sure you put the boot on first before you do anything. So put the boot on. Ooh, almost forgot something. Put your retaining clip on first. Then the boot. See, I almost made a mistake. Then I would have been sitting here taking this stupid thing off again. Okay. Push it down on there like that. So you got your clip on there. And then now you got this. Okay, now we got our grease out. And we're gonna slide this up so that it gets right to that spot. Right to the retaining spot right there. It's good there. And then I'm going to stuff a bunch of grease down inside of this thing so I can actually have the ball bearings and everything have grease on it when it gets started. Never have too much lube. Okay, I'm actually going to work that around in there. Oh, you see, squirt that down in there. I'm actually going to work that around in there with my finger in just a minute. I'm going to leave it there for a second. Then kind of the rest of this, I'm going to squirt down in here. Alright, so now I'm going to work the grease down around in there underneath all the ball bearings. So you see that. I might actually try to squeeze a little bit more down in there. I just try to pack this a little bit. I mean, this obviously the grease is going to make its way around all over the place, but I'm trying to you know, trying to make sure there's enough grease in there. Just kind of sticking it around and getting it worked in behind all these ball bearings. This is a freaking messy job, for real. Alright. So there's splines in here that you have to match up and line up with the splines that are on this. Alright, I got this thing back on now. I ended up having to put it here in the vise and tap the hammer on the end in order to push the splines back on, but now it's back on again. So we're good, and now I'm going to put this band on, and this one will be done. Make sure you get the band in the channel all the way around, and then fold it over, and then push it down. Good. Done. Now I just got to do the rears. Once everything gets back from the powder coaters, I'll be able to assemble it all and be good to go. Alright, I wasn't going to film the rear, but since I'm all the way into it, I might as well go ahead. The rear I'm actually disassembling from the inside out. So I actually had to take this piece off. First thing I had to do was take the dust cap off. That I basically tapped down on here with the hammer until it popped out. And then when you get inside of there, it's just a disaster with grease. But then you have this cage sitting in here like this, and all the ball bearings are sitting down inside like that. There's a small C-clip that you have to remove, right? This little C-clip. You take it off of the axle right here, and then that allows you to slide this spider gear off and pick all the ball bearings out and all this other stuff. So right now I'm in the midst of getting this cleaned up the best that I can. And then I'm going to take this boot off and then get to the other end. Yeah, wow, what a mess. This one's a lot more involved, I guess, than the front axles were. This one has a whole lot more mess. So cleaning this up, tidying it, trying to get as much of this old grease out as I can, inspecting things, and yeah, all of that stuff. Nasty. Now there is a little clip down in here. You can't see it very well, but it's a little clip. I'll peel it out here in a minute so you can see what I'm talking about. Shout out to JDM Right Hand Drive, whose video I actually watched to figure out how to do this. His video was very thorough, very in-depth. I'll put a link in here. I'll put a link in here up in the corner so you can go and check that video out. That video is going to be much more in-depth than mine. Mine's just basically documenting the fact that I changed all this stuff because I basically wanted to make sure that I could point to. I don't ever plan on selling this car, but if I do sell it, I want to be able to point to the fact that I've basically renewed pretty much everything on it. So that's kind of why I'm documenting this stuff in the video as I go along. Alright, let's get this going. Oh, there we go. That's that little C-clip that I was talking about. The boot kit comes with a new one of these, so you can just put it to the side. Alright, let's get this old boot off. By the way, if you have a vise, use one. It makes things a lot easier. Alright, so I've already got this boot off and I've got most of the grease cleaned up in this one. So what I'm going to do now is get the new boot down into here, and I'm going to pack this up with some grease. I'm not sure who worked on this car before originally, but these, I mean, I don't know if it was original or if these boots have never been changed, but there was not a lot of grease was kind of dry in there. I mean, it still had grease and nothing was clicking, but it was fairly dry, I want to say. And obviously I don't really like that very much. So let's get these, I'm kind of glad that I just decided to do this as preventive maintenance to get new boots on and get new grease in there. I'm telling you, it's nice using factory parts because everything fits perfectly. You don't have to worry about trying to make something that wasn't designed for it fit. Just like that. Put that down in. Good. All right, so that's the outer done. Now we flip it around and do the inner part. Put the small band on first. Go on here, and we're going to get this boot put on. Don't you go anywhere. All right, now that we're at this spot, we're going to take this cage goes in, and just kind of set it down in there. Then you're going to need to take the spider gear. And the spider gear goes in one way. So there's a little ring on the inside here, and then this one's flat. So the splines come all the way to the edge, and then these splines kind of have a little dip in them. It's hard to explain, but when you see it, when you're doing it yourself, it'll make sense. So you want that part that's flat, where the splines come all the way to the top, that one faces up. So you put this on, push it down, make sure it gets seated all the way in. Then we're going to take our circlip here. By the way, I'm going to get a little bit of grease on this stuff, get it ready. And grab my C-clip. By the way, always hold one end of this thing when you're opening it. That way it doesn't go flying across the room and you lose it. I've lost, I don't know how many C-clips I've lost like this. So, clip it like that, hold it on one end, and clip it. That way you can expand it and you don't lose it in case it pops off. Just like that. It goes down in there. Beautiful. Good. All right, so I'm going to actually take a little bit of this grease and start putting it on this thing, just kind of having it, I guess, a little bit pre-lubed, if you will. Now I'm going to put a little bit on the ball bearings and then pop the ball bearings back in one by one. So they get started, but then you have to kind of like give it a little bit of a nudge for them to actually fall in. And so they'll sit in there like that. So they sit in there, once you give them a little bit of extra push, they'll pop in okay. Keep everything in place. Anyway, so what I did was I put this back in the vise and then I slid this thing down on here. So now you have to actually put this little C-clip in. Of course my battery's about to die, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you the rest of this piece before the battery dies. You pull this thing down and you insert that C-clip now that it's in and past the ball bearings. This will hold it all in place. Then put the two bands on. And the last bit is to take this end cap and tap the end cap back into place, and then you're done. Anyway, hope the video was helpful for you. If you're redoing all the axles like me, I think it's worth doing. All these boots are really old anyway. Thanks for watching. See you next time.